Alrighty. Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We had a very short burst of information yesterday, but at least we were able to get our charts up there, and we were able to show the Excel spreadsheet. So there was something to it. I hope it survived. Okay, let's see what we got going on here today. You can see dollar weakening again, and that is the dollar against the Swiss. And so obviously we'll be seeing the euro going up in direction. And you see this is coming down, and we're, as you can see, what do we have there? That is S&P. So let's go back over to there. We'll find that in a second, like that. There we are. And you can see here we're at a very low point, something we haven't seen in a couple of years, I guess now. Is it a couple of years? Let's take a look and see. Yeah, that's this year. That's June. We've drawn some lines in there. Okay, so we're only going back to towards the end of 2019. We'll use J4X to give us the better insight. There's no doubt about. Let's see. Only difference is that we're using Hinky Ashing on the bars, and it gets a little confusing since it's an average and a total and a running average. So in other words, it's not just the open, high, low, and close. It's like 2 times the open, high, low, and close, and divided by 4 or something like that. But let's go back and see that right there on a weekly. And you can see it's loading up here. Let's see what it looks like. We might even throw the whole big picture for a moment like that. Okay, now that's back to 2019, same period there. And then let's see if we move it over. We haven't seen this product down here in a long while. Long time. We're at 88.50. I don't see any 88s at all. This is going back to the 17. This is probably the last time we were down in this territory was when they stopped supporting the euro against the Swiss. I think it was the Swiss National Bank decided to do that. You can see here. Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah, here's the slam right there. Back in 2000, what was that? That was 2014. Yeah. Towards the end of the year, they realized that they were going to stop supporting it, and it just drove it down into the 70s. And notice the big support area here in the 8 area, mid to high 80s, 86, 85, right around that area. So I'd imagine if we're going to see this move down further, it would be probably going into that direction. All right, let's get back to there. Let's go back to the daily also at the same time. Let's see if we do this. Daily. Dilly. And it's quiet up on the chat line today, I see. But at least I can hear my voice, and that's a positive thing now. There we go, like that. Move it over, and then we'll widen it out again. There we go. You see the white line has been above here, which is really curious. Normally that's a sign of strength, and it has been sideways, but it's been sloping down. It seems to have broken away from our math. But you can see at the same time, ours is trying to do the same thing here. When is that? That is the 6th, and ours is the 11th, but it was bottoming also and lifting up through the time manifold here. So in some ways, that's fascinating to see that, but it's not representing the slide very well. But it is negative here. We've been in a sell. Matter of fact, did we get into a sell buy there? I think we did. We went into a buy there on, was it Thursday of last week, and then we're right back into the sell. Let me see if we can put that back in there. And that's, what's the fact check sheet say? 21. Yeah, so 2 days in a sell again. That's what it is. So we went into the buy there for a day. Whoop, wrong spot. Let's put it here. Went into a buy there for the day, and then pushed right back into the sell the next day. Right there. And today it's trying to go back into the buy again. We can actually move that one up top over, which is kind of curious. So we can go like that. It's trying to get into the buy again there. And this is the sell again. There we are. And that's the action we're really seeing there. And then that last slide here was pretty interesting, especially being in the weekly sell. I guess, what do we do? Go into the weekly sell at the end of that week there. kind of stalling out, isn't it? Most of the action has come from they danced along this. Want to say this, that most of the action came from the fight between the low 90, 89 in highs, and then it came back up and down. That's why we have these channels drawn there. We saw this go on throughout most of the year, where it would bounce in between and bounce in between for at least the last 5-6 months. And so you can see here, it seems to have broken that channel and is now finally, breaking down in here. And I imagine we'd have a little bit more room, which would give the dollar more weakness. What else can we say about that? I guess that's the overall view. Now, once we finish this year out, we'll have a better feel for this action and reading the technicals, because at this point in time, what we're really seeing at the moment is closing out for the year for the tax season. That happens the last 6 or 7 weeks. And you get the window dressing game going on. Between the two of them, it can drive you totally crazy. Let's see. Let's go over to the euro right there. You see the strength that we were expecting to see. But notice this. This is trying to roll over here. But we're spinning this long weekly buy here now since middle October. And found a way to develop a bottom after the daily sell came out of itself. And it's been kind of a strong move. It's been, that whole weekly trend has been very solid. And we went from the 17s to the, what's that, the 2021s. Let's see what it looks like over here. Right there on J4X. And I imagine we're going to be seeing our line. It's still climbing up, but it was only a very short-lived one. Isn't that interesting? Seems like it's all stalling out a little bit in here. And you can see those greens for the hinky ashies, simulating the green dots there. Let's see what we have here. Guess that's about it. It's still trying to lift up. Interesting how the purple, or I guess, yeah, it's like a purple. The CCI seems to be stalled out altogether at the moment. And I guess that's why we're seeing this rollover here, too, at the same time. And look at the time manifold. Incredibly tight. What a quiet day. Nobody's saying anything. Anybody want to see anything in particular? I know everybody's probably shell-shocked from yesterday's technical difficulties. Now here is cable. It's trying again to get moving along. We're holding in that long weekly buy here, but we've been in the sell now since back in here, since this slam. I guess one of these slams. And the volatility thing has just been zigzagging along, making some lows, and now we're starting to make that little push up. And let's see how that looks over on the J4X. There it is there. Now it's cutting through the zero line. And this thing here is fighting to get there today. A lot of red dots. Got a couple days of green there. That's kind of interesting. We'll see what they do. It looks like they want to turn this thing up. I understand there was a headline somewhere. I saw it. I read it really quick. Didn't take it too serious. Something about Brexit. Honestly, at this point in time, awful hard to take any of that Brexit stuff too serious, because it just goes in and out of Brexit this and Brexit that. Just doesn't seem to stop. It's like, oh well, now maybe they've come up with another answer. It's like, oh my God, it just doesn't stop. It's like we try to get it to stop, but it won't stop. All right. Let's see. Where is the next stop to stop? And let's go over to the Turkish Lira. Lately, we've been looking at the European one. And you can see here it is piercing underneath the zero line for the weekly. And you can see the daily is trying to do the same thing here today. When we look at the the Turkish Lira and the dollar right there, which we've been watching 54 weeks in a buy, you can see it is cleanly through the weekly sell at this point. Cleanly through. Pressure's on. I think that's a sell there. And that's a buy. Yeah, so 1 day in a sell. Do we have it 1 day in a sell? 17? Yeah, 1 day in a sell. That's line 17 over here on the fact check spreadsheet. And looks like we're going to finish off at 54 weeks and finally make it into the sell. A weekly sell after a year and 2 weeks. End of the year dance, I guess. We'll see how they play this out. See what kind of excitement there is. And then in January, which is 2 weeks away now, basically. A little more than 2 weeks away. It shall be interesting, that's for sure. All right. Sipping my tea. Taking a little sip of tea here since it's morning time. There we go. So the Turkish Lira, this is the week after 54 weeks. See that right there? How about that? And maybe it's just the winners taking profits at the end of the year more than anything else. We'll watch and see. Wouldn't it be freaky if this thing went like, it did the same thing like Enron and what was the other one that did it? Corning Glassware, a few of these others that went on these long, long tears back in the 90s, was it? The comic book company, Marvel or something like that, before it got bought out by Disney, did the same thing, fell apart. That was because of the investor in it. There was a problem financially, and it did a big long run of weekly sells for a long while. Just like the way Corning and then Enron itself just went out of business over time from it. Like, 27 weeks in a sell, 3 weeks in a buy, 27 more weeks in a sell. Are we going to see, we know Turkey is not going out of business, but what we do know is that the currency could get uglier. We could see it like the Rand or something like that, where it's in the teens over time. I don't expect it to happen in a 24-hour period. But wouldn't surprise me if we get through this tax season, and the next thing you know, the product is back up in the 8s again, or even going after the 9s. That would not surprise me at all. Oh, what's this? I'm reading some stuff off of Dukascopy. Okay, off the chat of the Skype. Okay, so that's the excitement of this Turkish lira thing going on. Could be taxes, profit taking, or there could be actually a change coming along. One or the other is going to be interesting. All right, over to the Canadian. Canadian, you can see, a few weeks in a weekly sell. Daily sell is still in effect, but look at it. Let's refresh that. You can see the white line has busted through the plus side of that, but we got a red dot, so it's hanging on for. We'll see how they play that out over the next 8 hours or so before we close in the United States at 5 Eastern Standard Time, and then we mark our position at that point. So you can see here, this is trying to lift up the Canadian. And usually when the Canadian is strong like this, usually oil is going up in value. Where are we on the spreadsheet on oil? Oil is 2 days in a sell, so I guess this little strength here, or upwardly action, I guess you could call it. I don't know strength, it's weakness really. Maybe showing us that. Now what we do is we slide over to the NASCAD, because that's usually even more indicative of what is going on with the oils market. I hope the chat line is working today. I imagine it is. And you can see here, now that's trying to head down, and again you would think that oil would be, you can see that little movement up, which means that I guess the price of oil should be, I guess it's going down. Price of oil is trying to go down. That's what that's all about, this little weakness in here. Now let's take a look at oil. Let's take a look at it itself. I see right there. That's how we usually transition to, unless someone wants to see another currency. And we usually might drift back for like a yen or a Mexican peso or something like that if someone asks for it. And even so, I might even go take a look at the peso again. We're starting to watch the peso a lot more. And there is oil. And it's going up in value. So it's actually fighting both the NASCAD and the Canadian at the moment, and showing a little life in there. Oh, I see what happened. We went into the volatility signal there, just like we did 2 days ago, and it fell down. And now you can see it's trying to climb up with no problem, and we're getting a double volatility signal. Jeez. Maybe we're going to get some real action in this oil market. There you go. Okay, there it is. It's starting to do that. So what we'll do now is we remove that one and just throw that right there, because it's through and it's holding up. So it pushes it into the buy today. That's what it does there, as long as it stays above this throughout the trading day. What else can we say about oil? Been kind of interesting. It's had some nice little runs. Been in that weekly buy for a few weeks here and gotten this plateau going on. At one point, it looked like a pennant. Then it looked like a flat pennant from a regular pennant, and then it became a channel. Now it's in a channel, and now it seems to be playing with the top part of that channel, and has broken through it, as you can see there, and trying to establish a higher channel now up in here. So the whole thing is showing some interesting action. I guess oil is, again, there's the potential for a stronger economy next year, and so that usually instigates the oil market to lift up. As we take another sip of our nice hot tea, or ginger tea, there we are, combined together with some black tea. Ginger tea and black tea combined. It's a nice little flavor for the morning. All right, what else can we do about this? I guess that is the oil market. Wonder what gold's doing. Is it showing some life? Oh, yeah. Look at that. It is showing some life. Let's move that over. But, again, the math is not giving us a lot of clear direction to that. Except, I guess you could say the weekly has. The weekly's pretty firm there. This is going on a third week now. 2 weeks in a buy, and the product is pretty much just sitting where we started from with that buy. And we're at the middle of the range, not at the high of the range, and obviously not at the low of the range. It would be nice to see this thing lift up. Wonder what silver's doing then. So silver is doing the same thing and getting through and holding on to its weekly buy. So the buying is still going on. It's just not that exciting at the moment. This looks like one of those head and shoulders things there. I guess if we take this top out, that will freak out the head and shoulder people and run it up to the 26 again. Now let's check out copper. Now copper, same situation, lots of firmness. Daily buy for weeks now. What's it say on the fact check spreadsheet on that? That's not line 8. So we're 7 days in a daily buy in this thing. Going on an 8th day. And we're a bunch of weeks in a buy too. What is that? 9 weeks in a buy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Going on a 10th week. It's just rocking along, isn't it? All right, and then why not look at platinum? Let's see. Look at all 4 metals. There's platinum. And the platinum is breaking down on that daily for the last couple days, but the weekly is holding up fine. And that's 2, 4, 5 full weeks going on this week. But this digestion's going on, but it seems to be trapped in this range here. And I guess we'll watch and see. Getting a little volatility signal today, but it is towards the minus side, so maybe they're going to knock it down more and beat up this weekly. I don't know. So far, we're not seeing any of that. This is the January contract, which probably has about 3 or 4 more weeks left in it. All right. So now, let's take a look at, let's see. I'm just trying to see if we're getting the chat line. I want to make sure I'm not losing the chat line. Let's see. Let's just try this real quick. YouTube, Dukascopy. There we are. I just want to see our chat line real quick here just to make sure. Looks like it's about norm. Okay. So it's not us. Nope, I see that. Okay. I'm just going to throw a high in there just for the sake of it. Do we see that come up? It says try it again. Maybe I'm not signed in. There we are. Nope, I don't see it come up on the chat line. Interesting. All right, where else? Now we finish off the metals. Let's slip over to, where do we go from here? And I might as well save these things too. So there's silver. You can see this volatility. Let's refresh this, because maybe we are coming into some new excitement at the end of the year here. Oh, look at that. They got rid of the volatility signal and it's just climbing up at this point. And that makes sense to me. And then over here, This is the stock market. This is the Nasdaq 100 or the Tech 100 they call it on Dukascopy, and that's showing life in it again. Just when you thought that maybe they would try to put some pressure into it yesterday, it is showing really good life into it today, and it's in a daily buy. Let's just take a look at that chart again. I just want to save it too. Where is it at? There it is, right there. You can see that holding up in there. That was from the volatility signal, so we've got the daily buy going on, and we're at the highs of the day, and that weekly is holding on very well. Now, whereas the S&P 500 doing its battle and 2 volatility points. Let's see what that looks like when we reload it. Oh, it's disappeared altogether. And look at that. Yesterday's volatility point has disappeared altogether. And we're just really tight. Look how tight that is. When this thing tightens up, sometimes you can get some nice moves out of it. So it's really coming into like an overload period. And you can see the weekly is battling itself to stay in onto it, go on to a third week here. Interesting action overall in the stock market for the end of the year with 2 weeks left. The tax season, I heard them talking about it this morning again on one of the channels about the idea that you got to offset your profits with losses, and so you're seeing good stocks being sold, and then they'll be bought back in January, which is that January effect that people hear about. And right now you're seeing the window dressing, and so the combination of both of those. And usually with the oil markets firm, you usually see the stock market firm. This is probably one of those years where the oil market, due to the pandemic situation or the lockdown situation more than the pandemic itself, has instigated a slower economy, and that's why we see that dragging along in the oil market. Read some really good stories about, look at that, it's really slowly pushing up after refreshing that February contract. Read some interesting stories in the crude oil where the Chinese are just buying every bit of oil they can and storing it. I guess they're not that big a producer, and that's what the problem is. So they're reaching for the oil, and just I think they're up to 300 million barrels. 300 million? Not 3 million. 300 million. I think it's 300 million barrels, which is a lot. And I know that we keep 100 million barrels in reserve, but we're an oil producer. We're an actual oil exporter. So that changes that situation dramatically. But for China, they don't have as much oil resources. So they're building up. Maybe they're going to shoot for $500 million. They have $1 trillion of reserve here. What's a billion? I guess a billion barrels of oil. Wouldn't that be $50 billion? I guess so, wouldn't it? 40 billion? I don't think they have the money for that. So what they've done is, let's see, if they have 300 million barrels, they're still talking about $8 or $9 billion, 12, $14 billion worth of oil. It's a lot of oil. But I guess if they're trying to stockpile it at this point. I know their balance of payment was $3 trillion. So obviously they've got some cash flow still coming through, as much as things have slowed down for them. I did see where their supposedly their GDP jumped 0.7% last month, and that usually puts a little charge into everything. Then there's the Russell. This is like the most speculative of all the indices. It's still showing some. There we go. TH. Cad Yen. We can do that. Let's take a look at Cad Yen. We can do Cad Yen. There's an interesting one, Cad Yen. I think we've looked at that before, too. I like that. It's an interesting one. All right, let's head over to here and see if we can find the Cad Yen. Cad Yen. You know what I'm really still trying to find is a Brazilian Rand. What do they call it? The Brazilian, it starts with an R. Brazilian something. All right, so let's see if we can find Cad Yen. Cad Yen. Let's see, where do we put this? There is New Zealand yen, so let's just make it there. I think we were doing all of them at one point, looking below the whole bit. Let's see, so Cad, there it is, Cad Yen. And let's see how that looks, right there. There we go. There's Cad Yen. Let's see how it looks here. I think we need to widen this a little bit. I'm not sure why we're running a green line there, but either way, let's see what we got going on there with the super. So we're running the 5. The 5 out of the 3-5 is being run, and the 4 plot is not. Okay, and then the histogram is the 1. Okay, so you can see here it goes into the buy like right here. So I'm gonna move. I guess that wasn't a buy there. So it goes into the buy here, and then it has that nice little takeoff, and then it went into the daily buy. Let's grab one of these lines here. No, let's leave that there. Where was that at? Was that there? That was there. Okay, let's just add one. So it goes into the buy there, into the weekly buy. That was a nice move. From the 80.5 up to 82 and change. That's pretty cool. You can see here we're showing some interesting weakness. You couldn't take the sell there because of the green dot, but you can definitely take. You can't take the sell because we're in a weekly buy, but it's telling us that there's some little selling going on at the moment, and that's what we're seeing right now. That's what's trying to happen today. Let's see. There's the last buy, right there. Just before we got into the weekly buy, then we went to a sell for a day, and then we went back into the buy. We call it that move. Interesting. Let's see what else we got. There's a daily sell right there. You see, was it the TH? You see that? I'm short. What do you mean you're short? You're short. H4. I'm short M30. What is M30? I don't know what M30 is. What is M30? So when you're short, is that going up being short, or is it, which side of the ball are we looking at here? H4. Oh, hourly 4. I get that part. Okay. And 30-minute. I see now. Okay. Well, we can do that. We can try to take a look and see what they look like in that fashion too. So we go like this. We go copy window. Let's go play with the time there. We can do that. And we'll go over to here. File. Paste window. Like so. And then what we'll do is we'll slide in a 30-minute to start. Oh, you know what we do is at this point we take this one and remove it altogether like that. There we go. And then remove that. Actually, format indicator. We remove that. There we are. Now, what we do is we go and look at it on a 30-minute basis. We have that on the other chart on the daily. So now let's go put in a 30-minute. See what it looks like in a 30-minute. And then we'll look at a 4-hour. Let's go back, I don't know about 300 bars, but let's go back days. Let's go back like 30 days. Let's see what happens when we do that. Okay, so here's 30 days. Let's see what that looks like. While we're waiting, I'm going to have a cup of tea again. Take off my lid. Take a sip of the cup of tea. I see it's compounding. Let's make it 15 days to see if we can just get a flavor of what's going on. And here we go. Okay, we're getting closer. And at the same time, we'll once that's done, we'll go and look at a 4-hour. We'll make a copy of it and look at both of them. All right, let's try to get a little. I see. Oh, wait a minute. I wanted 15 days, not 3,000 days. There we are. Maybe now. No, not 315 days. There we go. Okay, you can see where are we at right now. Okay, yeah, you're doing all right. Look at that. The breakdown here. It's trying to climb up. Half hourly is not too bad. And let's make a copy of this. Paste it. Let's give you the 4-hour look. we are. Let's make it 30 days back. Something like that. There we go. I guess it'll fill in soon. It's coming close. Back filling now. Let's just look at that 30-minute for a second. Right there. Interesting. It's got some range to it, doesn't it? No, that's a dime. That's a dime across. That's 10 pips. Another 10 pips. So it does take some time to get somewhere. Look at that. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 3 hours for it to drop 30 pips. Nice little bounce there. And then right back into the sell 2 bars later. Right there, I guess it is. Let's see what that is. Right there, yeah. Right there. Goes into the sell again and catch that like a 17 pip drop. This is a good one right there. It's a nice cover right there. It's pretty smoothed out. Interesting product, the Cad Yen. And now you can see here it's trying to get some life into it. We got a double dot going on at the moment. Let's refresh that. Reload. Oh, doesn't want to reload. Oh, it's because it's loading the other stuff in. Let's see if we can go back to the 15-minute. Oh, the 4 hour. There it is. There's 4 hour. And we can remove those lines like that. Or we can move it around. So it went into the sell there. And it's still trying to bring itself down after being in a buy there. It had to be 1 over even. And then the last sell was there. And that buy gets pushed over 1, I think it is right there. Yep. There's the volatility and there's the buy signal. Didn't really go much on that. And they pushed it back into the sell again. Let's go back to the daily itself. The daily's breaking down too. So, okay, I can see what's going on there. And I guess we should make that something a little bit brighter. Let's make it white for the moment. So the white line is the gas line 6, or it's a plot 6 of the 5. It's 5 itself. That's what that is. So this is a 5 average to our math, and the histogram is a 3 average to our math. And you can see here, let's go back over a little bit. So it went into the buy. There's the sell. This buy here went into the buy here. And then it tried to go into the sell here with dailies and all that stuff, some weakness. But it's still in the weekly buy, and it climbed back up into there, and you got this action, and that buy signal was a nice confirm and good run. And then you went into the sell here, profit taking again. And then another buy there, which was another nice run up to, I guess, right there and there. And then this one again in a buy had jumped. What is that? That's pretty aggressive there. That's 100 pips. That's pretty good. So, all right. Nice looking at that. That's going to be part of our title today. Cad Yen, for those who watch the Cad Yen. Get a chance to see the 4 hour, the half hour. Let's just go back and look at them. This is a daily. And what do we do here? So it went into the sell there. Went back into the buy here. Let's see. So it goes, we'll have to make one there because it goes, what's it do? It goes into the sell there. So it goes 1 week into the buy. Let's just fix that just to give it the correct indications like that. There we are. Goes into the buy, fails. We're in the sell there too, since like right there. Actually, that's a sell right there. Right there's the sell. And then that's the buy right there. So gets itself into the sell, breaks down, has a nice little fall. Unfortunately, too bad it wasn't in a sell at that point. Just that wild move there. And then what do you get here? You get the buy again here, but you get into the buy there. Oh, after that wild spike, what's that? 150 pip move. Woof. Woof. That is wild. That could actually be a loss in our math. Look at that. There you go. Looks like we got ourselves an issue there for a change. Look at that. Wow. Because we were in a buy there. goes into a sell here. That's at 8.5, traders, every so often. And it's a rip smack. That's why money management always works, you know, stops and all that other stuff when you're using hard deltas. And then it doesn't go anywhere but sideways down. It goes back into the sell, and you're in a sell, so you can catch that to get most of your money back, which is nice. Thank you. And then, let's see. You get into the weekly buy, you can't be short here. And you can be long here, and that makes back all the money. This here win and this here win makes back all that money again. And that's why we always say it's the 8.5 out of 10. The thing has a natural tendency. If you follow each signal, you're going to be a winner. It's amazing. You'll have losses, but they're very, very few losses compared to the wins. Let's see, what's this? 44,500th. Uberset Zong. I don't know. I can only see half of the. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm glad you said that. Here, didn't realize that. There we go. Now you can see it all. We'll go through all of them real quick and then jump over to whatever anybody else wants to see there. There you go. So there's the weekly, and interesting. That sell there is right there. Nope, it's the one over one like that. And then it can't get into a buy there, but it gets into the buy. Where's it getting the buy? Not there. Right there. But it's in the sell. So it's just telling you that you can, definitely take profits from that move if you haven't already taken your profits from that move. And then that's a sell there. And then the buy is right back again, like right there. And then that sell moves over one like so. And then a sell there. Now this is all, this is in the sell from this week somewhere in here. It gets into the sell. And that confirms it at the close of the week. And in this case here, it tries to get into a buy. The 3 of the gas line, 3-5 super, but the 5 is holding it back. And then you get into a sell here, and you can't get long off of that because of the sell, so you don't get your head handed to you, which is nice. And the only one that gives your head handed to you is this one right here. Gets into the buy here. Doesn't really do well at it. This sell here is what traps you right there. And the next day, it leaps up dramatically. Is that right? I think that's the way it is, yeah. That's the way it is. Just the one day. And then it starts to turn up. And makes a charge. Now the weekly doesn't flip till here. So you're dancing, making the money on the short here after getting crushed off of it here. And making maybe half of your money back. And then this thing makes it all back and then some. Because the distance of this one from here is definitely greater. It's about, what's that, 1, and that's almost 2. And this is 1 1/4. And then this one here is a little under 1. So it kind of makes it like 3/8 of a pip, like 30 some odd pips in the end result out of the 3 moves here. So there you are. Now you can see that. Now let's jump over to the short term again for you. And this is the 4 hour. This way you can see the whole thing there. And you can look at the video and observe some of that. And try to commingle it with the difference, what we use on J4X here, using the slow and fast stochastic and using Hinky-Ashke bars themselves. That might help out, trying to help your indicator a little bit more. And then you can see the 30-minute right there. 30 minutes still trying to lift up. You can see our work is through there. We've got this green dot thing going on, volatility signal. Let's see what the last volatility signal looked like. Let's just give this a refresh. There's one right there, but it was minus. Pushed itself right into the minus, where this one's pushing it into the plus pretty aggressively. Let's see, there's one right there. Again, did the same thing. Tried to push us into the plus, but the next bar was a minus. Now, if this, there they just lost. Did we just finish the 30-minute? No, What happened to the volatility dot? I guess it's moving up that fast now. Let's refresh that again. It's moving up that fast. We're losing the volatility dot now. Interesting. Now there's one right there, and it was moving up. I just refreshed that again, and there's one right there, pressing down. So that volatility dot is gone. This thing is fighting to get into the plus. It'll be at the end of the webinar here. I might go back. I will definitely go back to this the last minute or two. I'll just post them back up again, and I'm going to start looking around. Does anybody else want to see anything? And if you want to see, if you want to see more, just tell me and we'll look at it. You know, where was I at? I was looking at the commodities at this point. I was I was looking at the indices. Oh, I want to see what Bitcoin is doing. Bitcoin still holding up in there, pretty firm. But notice we closed in a weekly sell last week, so we're really trapped. The thing is, daily buy and a weekly sell, saying to you, stand to the side at the moment. But look at the move that's been in there. It's like a $1,200-$1,300 move since it went into the buy. That's pretty aggressive. The cryptocurrencies. That's the way I look at them constantly now. The cryptocurrencies. And so that's the way we do that. We chase after those charts. And TH, again, if you see something you want to see, just say it. Anybody wants to see anything, just say it. We'll go after and look. And if not, I'm just going to go through all the products that we look at, and just to, until someone says, "Hey, I want to see X, Y, or Z." This way, you get a chance to see a lot of the products through through the recording, the YouTube. You can go back and see a lot of the products where they are today. Not only looking at the fact check spreadsheet right here, this thing right here, you can actually see where they are. Now this is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You can see it's trying to lift up also, and it's in 2 weeks in a weekly buy, also trying to go for a third. Definitely lots of window dressing, that's for sure. And then there it is. There's the the 10-year. Let me do this. Let me do that one. That's Robo Gas. That's gas oil for those in England. You can see it's been very firm and still climbing. People are traveling again. I guess that's what that sign really says more than anything else. Robo right there. Let's see. Nobody's asking for anything at the moment. Okay. And then we're going to finish off with the 10-year bond right there. You can see it's trying to roll over again. Let's refresh that. I saw today 18 trillion in zero investment yield. So 18 trillion, and the world has 100 trillion overall of assets. I guess that's the way they're looking at it now. It's one of the more stranger things of looking at it, but that's the way they're looking at it. So 18 trillion, which is supposedly historical, and the idea that they're trading minus. And it's definitely weird times, that's for sure. All right. Let's see, what else can we look at here? No one else seems to be tuning into anything particular. Let's take a look at the grains. This is the soybean, the Jan soybean, and it seems to be more firm than weak, but it's in the weekly buy and it's in a daily sell, and it won't go down, and you don't want to take the short because you're in a weekly buy. So it's one of those situations where you stand to the side. That's that type of thing there. Now, looking at the meats, we saw meats really starting to show some life in them. There's yesterday's. That's the hogs. Let's just refresh that. And it's even trying to climb up into a weekly buy. Let's put that little circly thing around it, like that. It's showing some life in there, trying to get into the weekly buy. And I guess that's the global thing in the end result, the economy. And you can see here it's in a daily buy there. And that is the hogs for you bacon eaters and pork chop eaters and so forth. And then here's the cattle for the hamburger people, doing the same thing, holding up strong, went into the weekly buy last week there. And you can see that holding nice strength there. And then we go and look at the corn, the grains. You can see here we've, I guess we went into the sell there yesterday. Okay, so let's put that in there. Put that, change the color to red. I know I saw wheat get plummeted, and now you can see the weekly is actually making a challenge right there. So what we'll do is we'll make that a red dotted thing going on, a warning that we are actually below the sell number. Like that. There we are. And that is the corn. Now, the grains don't seem to go anywhere. They seem to hold pretty well. But if we're going to get into a weekly sell, that would be definitely something you want to keep an eye on. Now, you can see here, here's wheat. Now, wheat looked like it was in a sell yesterday. How do we have that there now? I don't know. I hate when they change the data overnight. And so that's what's going on there. And I was wrong. I thought wheat was falling apart. And that's holding up into the week. That's right, it went into a 1. Look on the spreadsheet, line 4, wheat, right here. So it went into the 1. And now we have corn, after 18 weeks in a buy, could be going into the sell this week. So that's something to keep an eye on. Especially the idea that the weekly is starting to do it. So the dailies will be, you'll start to think about being short when the dailies are in sells. And that is feeder cattle. These are the baby cattle that grow up to be big steaks right there, and that's holding up still. This here is January oil, bean oil, where they crush the beans and they use it for cooking oils, and I think they actually run machines off of it and so forth. You can see it's starting to make a threat to the daily sell there. We'll put a little red line up there today. Let's go like that and put that in there, and that's interesting. Bean oil is starting to show some weakness. Interesting. This is January bean oil. It's been really strong. Let's see, bean oil right there. Yeah, it's been very strong. You can see here 2, 4, 6, 7 weeks. Nice move from 34 to 38 and change. So you can kind of think of it as like a barrel of oil, Now you can see here, it went into the weekly sell last week, the meal. This is what they crush the bean in, and they feed the animals the crushed up bean. That's the meal itself. And you can see the pressure is on this thing. And look how long it's been in sells. It hasn't really gone down much. Now the weekly's joining in. Right there. And then this is the red wheat. This is the Kansas red wheat. It went into the sell last night and looks like it's flirting with the daily buy again. Put that right there. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, some of these products they actually trade overnight, whereas the meats, they don't seem to be able to get those things going. So we'll see that. That's the Kansas red wheat / Minneapolis red wheat that everybody trades in some of the more colder areas. CK right there, red wheat. There we are. And then there is soybeans in March. See what they look like. See, now they've been in a sell for days, and now the weekly is trying to get there. So that's March beans. So we'll keep an eye on that. No questions after TH. TH, at least you asked questions. I was really appreciative of that. We love discovering new products. And so we are going to label this webinar, Cad Yen also. This way, people who do trade the Cad Yen will have an opportunity to check out these charts. Speaking of which, why don't we just do that real quick for you? And that is right there. There is the 30-minute. And we'll give it a refresh. See, it's back to the volatility signal again. Right there, still showing life. And then let's look at the 4-hour right there. Still showing the weakness, but firm. Right there. Let's give it a refresh, too. There we are, right there. So, And at the end, we'll make sure that the J4X is not in the way, and you'll be able to see the full chart and be able to explore the idea. All right. Let's see. That was what was that? That was the March beans. I think we saved them in the March beans. Just double check here. That's the March beans. So now, what are we looking at here? We're looking at oh, I see. Oats. Oats has become very popular. Oh, look at that. We're getting some red action in there today. Let's reload that. And it's trying, isn't it? It's right getting close. Now, this is a 3.5, so this is going to be a little bit more aggressive, but let's just save that Oats right there. Just putting that little pressure on it, isn't it? There we are. And we do this too, because this way traders can see our full chart on some of these products again. There we are. And then, let's see, there is the March meal, and that'll be the March oil underneath it. And then we've gone through that complex. Now look at that. That's March meal, and it's flirting with the weekly, so we'll put a little circle in there to remind people to keep an eye on that. There we are. And it's been in a sell. Now look at that. We're getting the volatility signal there. We did reload it. I'm just going to double check. Make sure we did reload it. Yep. Getting a little volatility signal there. And this is the March meal right there. And then last is the oil back in March now. Same situation. And second day in a sell, it looks like here. We'll go like that. And let me just make it red and reload it to make sure it's real. Yep. And that's the action there. Oh, let me do this. Let me just double check that. Cancel. Yeah, that's yesterday. Because that's also showing us the live action right now. That's the 15th rolling over. And so that is March oil right there. Cool. All right. Let's see. Now, let's see what else we got going on in here. That is the action there. So we've basically looked at both areas, the commodities and the grains, all of it. A lot of them are surrogates for the dollar, because the world is always reaching for dollar-denominated products to be long or short instead of having to disrupt the central bank's bans of whatever they're banning. No, they put a trading range. What I mean by ban, a trading range, and they want to keep things in a trading range, and that's how they always walk around saying stuff like, "Oh no one, they're not cheating." They must have a set thing that they won't tell the public about. Yeah, and they'll say stuff like, "Oh no, they're not cheating." It's like, what do you mean cheating? Whatever happened to that fundamental concept of, an aggressive GDP, low unemployment, a lot of success coming around the corner, buy that currency. Instead, that seems to disrupt that whole concept now. So, all right, now, what do we got here? We have, there's our CAD on the daily. And it seems like we've lost any green dot there. It's trying to break down. It's still holding well. Now we just need to see this weekly kind of try to roll over. All right. Now let's go over to a couple of the products we're copying and using at the moment. And that is, we're looking at the Brazilian. Let me see if I can show you. I can't get the Brazilian RAN or real. It's the Brazilian real. But what we have here now is the Brazilian ETF right here. And that's been interesting. Showing some good life in there. And was that? That is today. No, that's yesterday. Okay, so if we reload that, let's see if it throws it in there. No one's made a trade yet. Still the 14th. Okay. Now we're going to save that. Where do we put that? Oh, there it is. And then there's the dollar index. which is trying to move up, which is kind of curious since we're seeing euro up, we're seeing the Swiss franc down, but this thing right here is trying to lift, but you can see it's been in a weekly sell for weeks now. Let's see right there. And that's today live. It's lower than yesterday. But our math, wow, look how tight that is. So some noise is coming. When it gets tight like that, a few days later we get nice moves out of it. What I mean by noise is action. Now there's U.S. Steel. We've been watching that for somebody. That's kind of neat. I can see the pressure on it. Let me just refresh that. It's hard to believe this stock can go from $110 to $10 a share. Now it's at 17, 18. They're starting to interpret some growth, I guess. Let me see the pressure on it there. Steel. Let's see, where are you, Steel? Right there. And let's see, so there we are there. No one's asking any questions in particular. Anybody see anything they'd like to see? I guess we're getting towards the end. I just want to take a look at one more thing. Let's see. Let's close this. Yeah, let's close this. So there's your daily. So you can see that whole thing. So we're going to close that. Then we're going to show you the half hour and the hourly because we're coming to the end here. So there's the 4 hour. See, it's trying to perk up again. We'll give it a refresh. And then let's take a look at the half hourly. There's the half hourly. Oh, it's still trying to hold on. Let's give it a refresh. And that's trying to hold on too. Now I'm not sure why we have that red dot there. We'll remove that. And it's trying to lift up in here. So try to take some of your profits if you have some profits. All right. That is that. Now the last one I want to look at is some of the currencies. One of the other currencies we watch right now is the Aussie. Let's see, where's it at? It's the Aussie Yen, I think that's what it is. There it is, Aussie Yen. You see there, that's also moving down. I figured I'd show that since we're going to be showing Cad Yen. So just for those traders that look at both, I thought maybe we could throw that in there. You can see it's playing with a sell here today. I'm going to throw a line in there like that. This way, Cad Yen, Aussie Yen gives a flavor of both actions. There it is. It's all filled in. Very smooth. Interesting. And we'll save that. And at the same time, this way we can label this particular webinar Cad Yen and Aussie Yen. Or gold or something like that too. We can do. Or oil. Oil is kind of interesting since we looked at all three of those oils, the March oil and the January bean oils, and then the crude oil. So we might call it like the Cad Yen, Aussie Yen, and oils. And just call it like that, and it opens the doorway for people who want to look at the different oils. I think that's the best way to look at it there. All right, traders. Happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be Happy to Hump Day tomorrow. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends.